monstrous, horrifying, and evil beings, some pure and kind, others capable of instilling the deepest terror. This is the compilation of mythical creatures that have left their mark on cultures around the world. Aztec mythology is an echo of their dark and bloody sacrifices. In this mythological world, the most macabre creatures lurk in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to unleash their terror on mortals. From the watery depths to the darkest corners of the human psyche, each deity and creature represents a palpable threat to mortal existence. To enter this realm is to open the door to an abyss of despair and fear, where light can barely penetrate. Number 1. Ahuizot. This mythical being is a kind of aquatic monster with the body of a dog, skin with scales, and hands on the tip of its tail and on its legs. This creature had the ability to manipulate objects and to catch its prey, dragging them into the cold, dark depths of the water. Its large, glowing eyes could illuminate the deepest darkness. The Ahuizot was not a simple aquatic predator. It was a master of deception. It used its ability to imitate sounds, such as a baby's cry or a woman's wail, to lure its victims. People, moved by a desire to help, would approach the water only to be caught and dragged to the bottom, where they met a tragic end in the creature's clutches. Dying by drowning at the hands of this creature was considered an act loaded with symbolism related to rituals and beliefs about the afterlife. Before continuing with the video, do you know the advantages of using a VPN? Nah, just kidding. I'm not gonna sell you anything, at least not in this video. But I do want to take this opportunity to apologize to all Mexicans and lovers of this mythology for my pronunciation. I hope you understand that I try to do it with the utmost respect. Number 2. Cipactli. In an epic story from Aztec mythology, chaos, creation, and a creature of monstrous proportions called Cipactli play a pivotal role in the origin of the world. Cipactli is a being that seems to have been designed in a nightmare. Part alligator, part fish, and part frog. This beast is anything but small. We're talking about a giant whose presence dominates the waters, with a thick, spiny skin that defies any weapon, and a mouth so big it could swallow you in a single bite. This creature is not exactly the kind of monster you'd want to encounter on your next fishing trip. Cipactli is not your typical hungry monster. Its hunger is insatiable, and it doesn't discriminate in its diet. If you get too close, well, let's just say you could end up being its next meal. This chaotic being spends its days in the waters, stalking any prey brave or foolish enough to approach it. What can you do against a monster of such magnitude? If you're a mortal, the short answer is not much. In Aztec mythology, it took divine intervention to deal with Cipactli. The gods, Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca, had to call upon their cunning and divine power to trick, capture, and finally dismember this monster. And it was no easy task, but their epic struggle was not in vain. From the remains of Cipactli, they created the earth and the heavens, shaping the material world as we know it. Number 3. Tzitzimime. The Tzitzimime, celestial beings who are anything but angelic. They are creatures that resemble skeletons or monsters with a feminine touch, adorned with armor made of bones and decorated with celestial symbols. They are beings that descend to Earth during solar eclipses and critical cosmic moments, not to bring us gifts, but to devour humans and cause the end of the world. The Tzitzimime are chaos and destruction. They are not simply old wives' tales to frighten children. They represent the destructive forces of the universe and the primordial fear of what lurks in the darkness, waiting for its moment to fall upon us. Their appearance is as fearsome as their purpose: claws, sharp fangs, and bodies that could belong to any mortal's worst nightmares. Tzitzimime have the power to darken the sun, causing eclipses to attack or intimidate mortals. Imagine being in broad daylight and suddenly darkness looms over you, knowing that these monsters could be behind it. Moreover, they bring disease and calamity, unleashing pestilence and suffering in their wake. Their presence is a bad omen, especially in times of instability. Facing a Tzitzimime is no easy task. In fact, there are no stories of brave Aztec warriors defeating them in battle. These beings are more like forces of nature, entities beyond human understanding, Protection against them came in the form of rituals and ceremonies, sacrifices and offerings to appease these beings and maintain order. Number 4. Shaneke. Small but powerful spirits of nature. They are beings that, at first glance, might appear to be children or playful sprites. But don't be fooled by their appearance. These guardians of nature are much more than they appear. With small bodies adorned with forest elements and the faces of wise elders, they have the power to become invisible or transform, moving through the trees undetected. The Shanekes are quintessential protectors of all things natural. They are playful creatures, yes, but with a mischievous and even malicious side to those they see as a threat to their home. Stories of how they can lead you to lose yourself in their world, or worse, take your soul, are common in the lore that tells of them. Among their most impressive abilities is that of disorienting travelers, causing them to lose their way, communicating with flora and fauna, and knowing nature's darkest secrets. But what do these beings fear? Mainly the destruction of their environment. Human encroachment and damage to their natural sanctuaries pose a direct threat to their existence. Now, if you ever encounter a Shaneke, do not seek to defeat it. These creatures are not enemies. Offering them respect and care for their environment is key. In some stories, it is said that leaving offerings or performing rituals can appease them or even help you recover someone who has been taken by them. Number 5. Nahual. Imagine for a moment that you are walking along a path in the heart of a forest. Suddenly, a fox crosses your path, stares at you, and, in the blink of an eye, where there was once a fox, there is now a man standing in front of you. It is not a magic trick. It is the reality of living with a Nahual. A Nahual is not limited to being simply a man or an animal. It is a being that transcends physical form, taking on the appearance of different creatures, from jaguars to eagles, all depending on your spiritual connection to the animal. In their human form, you could walk past one in the street without noticing, for they know how to blend in with us. Nahual are wise guardians. Their existence straddles the fine line between our world and the spirit world, being protectors of nature. But don't trust them, because not all of them have benevolent intentions. Some may seek revenge or cause chaos using their abilities. And speaking of abilities, transforming is just the tip of the iceberg. A Nahual can immerse himself in the essence of his animal forms, gaining their appearance and abilities. It's like having the sight of an eagle or the strength of a bear. In addition, their knowledge of healing, prophecy, and travel between worlds puts them on a different level of existence. Number 6. Ahuyateteo. The Ahuyateteo are not creatures. They are minor deities in Aztec mythology. But since they were left out of the gods video, I wanted to bring them in for this top, and for good reason. These deities are associated with excess and hedonistic pleasures, representing danger and the consequences of excess in food, drink, gambling, and other earthly pleasures. Imagine this: you are at a party with everything you could possibly want at your fingertips. Delicious food, endless drinking, games, fun, and in the middle of that party, there are some strange characters looking at you from around the corner. They are not late guests. They are the Ahuyateteo, waiting to see how far you are willing to go. These deities are not exactly the most athletic or elegant in the Aztec pantheon. In fact, they are said to have bloated or deformed bodies, as if they themselves have fallen into the excesses they now represent. And while they are not going to win any beauty contests, their appearance is a reminder of what awaits those who don't know when to stop. Ahuyateteo are like those friends who encourage you to do silly things, but on a divine level. They have the power to push you into behaviors you know you don't want, like spending too much on things you don't need, drinking too much, or gambling what you don't have. And once you fall under their influence, you are likely to find yourself in a world of trouble, surrounded by bad luck and misery. Now, how do you defeat this being? It's not with swords and magic spells. It's with something much duller: restraint and self-discipline. Confronting them means being able to say enough is enough, and recognizing that the pleasures of life are there to be enjoyed, but with head. Number 7. Malinauxochitl. This is a lesser-known figure in Aztec mythology, associated with witchcraft and black magic. According to accounts, she was a powerful sorceress and the sister of Huitzilopochtli, the god of the sun and war. Legend has it that during the migration of the Mexica Aztecs towards what was to become the city of Tenochtitlan, Malinalxochitl was abandoned by her tribe because of her dark practices. It is said that she was a woman who radiated beauty and a presence that attracted and repelled you at the same time. Her style was pure spell and magic, adorned with all kinds of amulets, bones, and feathers of nocturnal birds, as if each piece of her attire told a dark story. She was known for her independent character and strong will, as well as for her deep knowledge of the dark arts. She was not only a practitioner of sorcery, but also a leader among those who followed the path of magic. She possessed a great knowledge of spells, potions, and incantations, which gave her great power. It was said that she could conjure visions, communicate with spirits, and manipulate the will of mortals. In addition, she had the power to transform herself and summon creatures and entities from the underworld to act at her will. Although she was left behind, she was not one to give up easily. She settled in her own territory, Malinalco, where she became a legend, the sorceress they both respected and feared. Number 8. Quinametsin. The Quinametsin are giants in Aztec mythology, considered to be the first inhabitants of the earth. According to the myths, these beings were created by the gods in one of the ages or suns before the present fifth sun under which, according to the Aztecs, we now live. The Quinametsin played an important role in the construction of great monuments and are credited with building the city of Teotihuacan, one of the most important cities in Mesoamerica. They were the first architects and builders, colossal beings that walked the earth long before you and I could even dream of existing. These giants were not only enormous in size, but also in their capabilities, able to lift stones that today, thousands of years later, we still look at in awe and wonder. How did they do it? The Quinametsin are an essential part of the stories the Aztecs told about their own origins and how the world they lived in was built. They are beings so tall that mountains seemed like small hills to them, with hands so strong that they could sculpt the earth as if it were clay. And while they had this incredible power to build, they were not without conflict. They had their struggles and challenges, both with each other and with the gods. And this is where the story gets interesting, because despite their strength, they were not invincible. It is said that their disappearance marked the end of one era and the beginning of another, leaving behind monuments and cities as mute witnesses to their existence. Their disappearance was part of the natural cycle, a necessary change for the world as we know it to exist. Number 9. Cihuateteo. The Cihuateteo represent women who died in childbirth, but in the Aztec worldview, dying in childbirth was no ordinary tragedy. It was, in fact, an act of bravery, comparable to falling in battle. For the Aztecs, the act of giving birth was a battle in itself, a heroic struggle to bring new life into the world. These brave women, when they died, did not follow the standard path to the afterlife. Instead, they rose to a special celestial plane, accompanying the sun on its diurnal journey across the sky. But when night fell, the story took a dark turn. They were transformed into the Cihuateteo, spirits who descended to earth to participate in rituals and ceremonies, thus connecting the world of the living with the realm of the dead. What made the Cihuateteo particularly distinctive were their depictions in Aztec art. Claws instead of hands and feet, unhinged faces and clothing that marked their divine status. Although they were venerated, there was also a deep fear of them. They were believed to directly influence earthly affairs, especially fertility and agriculture. They could also be vengeful creatures, abducting children or causing disease if their rituals or sacred places were not respected. Number 10. Xiuhtli. Xiuhtli, the fire serpent or fire turquoise, is a mythological creature and a potent symbol of strength, destruction, and purification. It is a serpent that not only slithers stealthily, but burns in flames, illuminating everything in its path with a fire that symbolizes both destruction and rebirth. This fiery beast is so connected to the god of the sun and war, Huitzilopochtli, that it is basically his personal weapon. Yes, the sun has his own weapon, and it is a fiery serpent. With Xuchotl in hand, Huitzilopochtli crushes his enemies and represents the power of the sun to overcome the forces of darkness and keep the cycle of life moving. But the fire serpent is not only about destruction, it is also a key symbol of the cycles of time and renewal. It is linked to Aztec calendars, reminding us that the fire emanating from this creature is destructive, yes, but also essential to the death and rebirth that keeps the wheel of life turning. On the battlefield, it was the role model for Aztec warriors, especially those of the elite, such as the eagles and jaguars. He inspired them to be brave, practically in. When it came to rituals, Xuchotl also had his moment. In the new fire ceremony, which was like the Aztec reset every 52 years, imagine that they put out all the fires in the empire, and the new fire, the beginning of a whole new cycle, is lit from the chest of a human sacrifice. Xuchotl, not just a serpent of fire, but a guardian of life, a symbol of change, renewal, and the scorching power of the sun.
From Russian vampires to unfriendly mermaids and house elves that can make your life hell if you don't respect customs and your family, these are some examples of the creatures of Slavic mythology that can be found in Russia, Ukraine, Poland, and other Eastern European countries. Number 1. Poludnica. Poludnica, also known as Lady of Noon, is a fearsome figure in Slavic folklore, especially in Russian, Polish, and Czech mythology. They are female spirits that appear in the fields during the heat of midday. They can cause madness or death to those who are working under the strong sun. Their origin lies in agricultural beliefs, where the Poludnica is a female spirit or demon that appears in the fields during the hottest hours of the day, when the sun is at its highest point. This being punished workers who disobeyed the traditions of resting during midday, thus protecting the crops and teaching respect for natural cycles and work. This creature is a tall, slender woman, dressed in white or light clothing that floats around her as if made of heat or sunlight. She is sometimes seen carrying a scythe or knife, a sign of her connection to the harvest and sudden death. Her appearance can vary from that of a beautiful young woman to that of an old woman, depending on the story or region. She possesses several powers, but most notably her ability to cause illness or insanity to those she finds working in the fields during the middle of the day, as well as the ability to inflict sunstroke or even death. It can also disorient people, causing them to become lost in the countryside. In some versions, the Poludnica can propose riddles to workers, and they will suffer the consequences if they are unable to solve them. Its power is limited to the midday hours and to open fields. To avoid unfortunate encounters with the Poludnica, it was advised to follow the tradition of resting and seeking shelter from the heat during the middle hours of the day. Number 2. Zmei. This is no ordinary dragon. It is a legendarily fearsome and complex figure in Russian and Ukrainian lore. Generally, you will see him as the great antagonist in stories full of heroes and knights, where his presence symbolizes chaos and destruction, but also the great challenges that must be overcome to achieve something great, be it power or knowledge. It is described as a dragon with 3 heads, although some stories attribute as many as 7 or 8 to it. Each head may have the ability to blow fire, and its green or black scales are almost impenetrable. It has large wings and powerful claws, and its size can be so great that it is capable of enveloping entire castles with its body. In addition to its fire breath, it is known for its superhuman strength, the ability to regenerate severed heads in some versions, and on occasion, the ability to take human form. The latter power is used to deceive humans or seduce young women. Despite its malevolent nature, the Zmei is sometimes tricked or outwitted by cunning or resourceful characters in folklore, highlighting the Slavic belief in cunning over brute strength. Also in some stories, not all their heads agree with each other, which can be exploited by the heroes.
Number 3. Mavka. Mavkas are beautiful young women with long, free-flowing hair and often naked or dressed in clothes made of leaves, flowers, and moss. They lack shadows and, by some accounts, lack a back. Instead, there is a hollow or empty interior, which shows their lack of a soul. Mavkas have various supernatural powers, such as the ability to transform themselves, influence nature, and enchant humans with their beauty and song. They can be both benevolent and malevolent, guiding lost travelers to safety or leading them to their doom. They are also knowledgeable about medicinal herbs and can share this knowledge with those who do not betray them. But beware, one of the best-known stories about Mavkas is their tendency to lure young men with their song and beauty, only to disappear and leave them lost in the forest, or in darker cases, lead them to their death. It is also said that during certain holidays, Mavkas can be seen dancing in the fields or near lakes. If you ever find yourself in a Slavic forest and wish to appease the Mavkas or protect yourself from them, consider offering offerings of flowers, food, or small gifts. Respecting nature and performing appropriate rituals can win their favor, or at least avoid their wrath. One well-known ritual is to give a symbolic burial to those who did not receive it. This act can transform a malevolent Mavka into a benevolent protector of the forest and its surroundings.
Number 4. Leshy. The Leshy is a forest spirit, considered the lord of the forests and protector of wild animals. He is a solitary being who maintains the balance of the forest ecosystem, guiding animals and plants, and punishing those who damage his territory. But it is not only his appearance that makes him special. Leshies have the ability to change size at will. They can be as tall as trees or small enough to hide under a leaf. They are also masters of disguise and deception. They can imitate animal and human sounds, become invisible, and even create illusions to protect their home, or sometimes just for fun. They are robust men, covered with hair, large eyes, and sometimes with horns and hooves instead of feet, and are often dressed in clothes made of moss and leaves. One thing you should know about this creature is that, although they are usually solitary, they invite the souls of children lost in the forest to play and look after them. There are also stories suggesting that these creatures have families and celebrate marriages with other forest creatures. Leshies fear iron and religious prayers, especially Christian rituals, which can drive them away or weaken their powers. Desecration of their home, the forest, can also enrage them or cause them to flee. To please the Leshy and avoid their mischief or anger, locals used to leave offerings in the forest, such as bread, salt, or cloth. It was also common to speak to them with respect, to avoid attracting their attention unnecessarily, and to follow certain taboos when entering the forest, such as not turning right 3 times in a row. Number 5. Domovoi. Have you ever heard of Domovoi? If not, let me tell you about this creature from Slavic mythology, specifically from Russia. This being is a small, hairy, and bearded old man. Something like the grandfather everyone would like to have, but with mystical powers. The Domovoi is the guardian of the home. He is not just a legend. For many people, he is an essential part of the family. Even if he is invisible, he protects the family and the household animals, making sure that everything runs smoothly, avoiding disasters and preventing any kind of misfortune. Since ancient times, even before Christianity came to Russia, the Domovoi has been a symbol of protection and prosperity. Its ability to change shape, become invisible, and even predict future events such as marriages or births makes it a member of the household that you would definitely want to have on your side. Maintaining a good relationship with the Domovoi is crucial. It is said that families who live in harmony and respect traditions tend to have a happy Domovoi who takes care of them. Small gifts such as milk, biscuits, or even tobacco can help win their favor and ensure that they continue to look after the household. And what if you move out? Well, there are specific rituals to invite the Domovoi to follow the family to their new home. But beware, these spirits do not like disharmony or neglect. Family quarrels or a careless home can offend it, and that is something you will want to avoid at all costs because it can lead to it withdrawing its protection. Treating a Domovoi well is not just about keeping the house in order. It's about respect, appreciation, and, above all, maintaining a calm and loving atmosphere.
Number 6. The Dorovoi. The Dorovoi is the guardian not of the house, but of outdoor spaces such as courtyards, stables, and barns. Now, unlike the better-known Domovoi we saw earlier, the Dorovoi is a little more wild, so to speak. It is larger, more robust, and has a look that can be somewhat intimidating. Some say it looks like a large animal, others say it is a cross between human and beast. But it's not all about looks. The Dorovoi plays a crucial role. It controls animals in yards and fields and can influence the local weather, which is super important for protecting crops or, well, the opposite, if he feels offended. In other words, this being can be a good omen or a curse. It all depends on how you treat it. In ancient times, where farming was everything for survival, having the Dorovoi on your side was vital. If tools broke or livestock fell ill without explanation, it was probably a sign that something had gone wrong with this being. Peasants would often leave offerings of food or tobacco in the courtyard, trying to curry his favor or appease his wrath. Like its cousin the Domovoi, the Dorovoi dislikes disorder and disrespect. especially towards the spaces it protects. Neglecting the care of animals or ignoring traditions could easily unleash his fury.
Number 7. Rusalka. Originally, the Rusalki were thought to be the spirits of young women who had met a tragic end, particularly those who had drowned or been killed before they could marry. But over time, the image of the Rusalka was transformed. Now, they are imagined as nymphs or water spirits who reside in rivers, lakes, and ponds, and are closely linked to fertility and the natural cycles of the earth. Visually, the Rusalki are absolutely ethereal, beautiful, with long, free-flowing green or pale hair that, curiously, never dries. Their eyes reflect the waters they inhabit, and they are often depicted half-naked or dressed in clothes that seem to flow like water itself. But don't be fooled by their beauty, because the Rusalki are much more than just a pretty face. They have impressive powers related to water and nature. They can control currents, cause floods or droughts, and bless the fields with rain to ensure good harvests. In addition, their voice is enchanting. They use their singing to lure men and boys to them, sometimes with rather sinister intentions. One of the most interesting traditions related to the Rusalki is the Rusalka Week, a period when their activity in the earthly world is believed to reach its peak. During this week, people avoided swimming in rivers and lakes in order not to attract their attention or anger. During Rusalka Week, people try to protect themselves or gain the favor of these nymphs through offerings and rituals. These offerings may include flowers, ribbons, and food left on the banks. In addition, songs and dances are performed to honor or appease them. Number 8. Kikimora. The Kikimora is a domestic spirit, but unlike other benign beings such as the domovoi, the Kikimora is seen with a more negative connotation. It is said to inhabit houses, hiding behind the cooker or in dark corners. According to legend, there are two main types of Kikimora, one that lives in the forest Kikimora, and one that lives in houses, household Kikimora. The one in the home is believed to be married to the domovoi. The Kikimora is a small, thin, elderly woman, in some versions with bird-like features or bird-like limbs. She wears clothes made of moss or fine cloth and may have her feet turned backwards. This spirit is known to make noises at night, especially whistling noises, which foreshadow unfortunate events or illness. The Kikimora can pass through the narrowest of locks and crevices, and is capable of cursing the inhabitants of the house with bad luck or nightmares. A popular belief says that if a child is born in a home without being properly blessed, the Kikimora may consider that home as its own. In addition, Kikimoras are believed to spin flax at night, and the sound of their spinning is an omen of bad omens. To appease a Kikimora, the inhabitants of the house may leave offerings of food or perform cleaning rituals. Keeping the home tidy and in harmony may deter her from causing trouble. In some accounts, if treated well, the Kikimora may offer protection or help with household chores, although this aspect of her nature is less common. Number 9. Alkonost. The alkonost is a bird with the face of a woman whose song can make you forget all sadness and worries. It has aspects of a bird and a woman and is associated with prophecies and revelations. This being lives in paradise or in places inaccessible to mortals, such as distant islands or behind the horizon, where it sings songs that bring immeasurable happiness, but can also make one forget all earthly worries. The alkonost is depicted with the body of a brightly colored bird with a splendid tail, similar to that of a peacock, and the head of a beautiful woman. Her image fuses the grace and beauty of both humans and birds, creating a figure of unique majesty. The alkonost's most outstanding ability is its song, which is so beautiful that it calms storms and can make time stand still. According to legend, the alkonost lays its eggs in the sea, and during the time it takes for them to hatch, the sea remains calm. A curious fact about the alkonost is that, despite its association with oblivion and eternal joy, its song is also believed to have the power to inspire its listeners to undertake noble and righteous deeds, driven by the sheer beauty and truth revealed through its music. Number 10. Chort. Chort is a demon or evil spirit. He is cunning and destructive, known for his desire to sow discord, temptation, and evil among humans. Unlike demons higher in the hierarchy of evil, such as the devil, Chort is involved in smaller-scale mischief. Though no less dangerous to people's morals and well-being, he is considered a servant or follower of Satan. These beings are invoked in stories to explain bad luck, misfortune, and sinful behavior among humans. The Chort, in particular, is used to personify the vices and temptations that lead people down the path of evil. The Chort is a small and visually unpleasant creature with horns, dark skin, fiery eyes, and a pointed tail. It can have goat-like legs and a mocking rather than terrifying appearance, has various powers, such as the ability to shapeshift, invisibility, and the ability to bring bad luck and influence people to commit evil acts. It can also create Faustian bargains, offering wealth or power in exchange for the soul. Despite being evil, chorts are tricked by cunning humans in folktales. Crosses, holy water, and invocations to divine or holy figures have the power to drive them away or neutralize their effects.
Number 1. Sluag. The Sluag is like the darkest and most twisted version of a family reunion, only this family is made up of the most wretched and evil souls you can imagine. They are like a horde or swarm of spectral beings. They have no fixed corporeal form. They are shadows, whispers of what they once were, transforming into birds or winged creatures that fill the sky with their ethereal presence. You might feel the change in the air as the Sluag approaches. It's not just a bad omen, it's a warning. The locals will tell you to keep your windows closed at night, not so much to keep out the cold, but to protect yourself from being swept away in its eternal flight. The Sluag are not simply looking to scare you, they want your soul to add to their numbers. And then there is the sound, that almost imperceptible murmur at first, like the brushing of dry leaves. As the Sluag approaches, that whisper becomes a howling wind, a chorus of the lost souls that now form this macabre procession. It is a sound that is not forgotten, that follows you in your dreams and reminds you that there are things in this world that are better left unknown. Number 2. Dullahan. This being is typically described as a headless horseman riding a black horse. Its appearance is macabre and ghostly. The Dullahan carries his own head under his arm or over the pommel of the saddle. The head is a terrifying sight, pale and decayed, with a wide macabre grin that runs from ear to ear. He wears dark robes, a long cloak, and sometimes wears ancient worn armor. His horse is large and black, with flaming eyes and hooves that hit the ground hard. He carries a whip made from the spine of a human corpse and uses it to strike. The Dullahan is a herald of death. He appears to claim the souls of those who are about to die. Its presence is a sure omen of impending death. It is invulnerable and cannot be stopped by doors, barriers, or walls. All locks and doors open automatically at its passage. This being manifests mainly at night, riding on lonely and deserted roads. It has specific routes it follows, such as ancient roads or places of historical significance. Its pace is so fast that no one can escape once it has set out. It can also call out the name of the person whose soul it is going to pick up, and in doing so, that person dies instantly. One of the few ways to drive away the Dullahan is with gold. Even a small amount of gold can cause it to back away and retreat. He is often seen near the house of the person who is destined to die. His arrival is accompanied by an atmosphere of darkness and intense cold. Similar to the legend of the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow in the United States, the Dullahan brings terror to the towns he passes through. But the Irish version is older and has its own characteristics. In some interpretations, the Dullahan is related to ancient Celtic gods of death, such as Crom Dubh. Its mission to collect souls can be considered a vestige of ancient rites and beliefs about the afterlife. Number 3. Leprechaun. This is one of the most iconic creatures of Irish mythology. Leprechauns are small men, no taller than a 3-year-old child, with wrinkled faces that betray their advanced age and white beards waving in the wind. You'll always find them dressed in traditional Irish garb, usually a vibrant green, with smart jackets, tall hats, and their trademark gold-buckled shoes. These diminutive beings have an ever-cheerful expression, with bright eyes and a mischievous smile. They are known to be extremely cunning and have a special gift for tricking humans. They love mischief, and if you try to capture them, you will discover that they are incredibly elusive. Interestingly, leprechauns are cobblers by trade. If you ever hear the sound of a hammer in the forest, it could be one of them working in their tiny workshop hidden among the trees. This craft provides them with their wealth and the ability to create and repair footwear with unmatched skill. Each leprechaun jealously guards a cauldron full of gold, hidden at the end of a rainbow. Protecting this treasure is their most important mission, and they rarely reveal its location. However, there is a popular belief. If you manage to capture one of these little guys, he will grant you 3 wishes in exchange for his freedom. But you have to be careful. These wishes often come with unexpected consequences, as leprechauns are masters in the art of deception. They prefer to live in hidden places, such as forests, meadows, and hills. Their homes tend to be small mounds or subway burrows, and unlike other feric creatures that enjoy communal living, leprechauns are solitary by nature. They are nocturnal creatures, carrying out most of their tasks and mischief under the cover of darkness. Many stories revolve around capturing a leprechaun and obtaining its wishes or its gold, but most of these tales end with the creature escaping thanks to its ingenuity. There are more creatures like the leprechauns, only they are not so friendly and peaceful, as is the case of the following one. Number 4. Fardarig. The Fardarig is described as a small man, similar in stature to a leprechaun. He wears red from head to toe. He wears a long coat, a pointed hat, and shoes with buckles, which makes him very easy to identify. His face is wrinkled with a mischievous grin, and his eyes sparkle with mischievous intelligence. He is known for his mischief and trickery. He loves to play pranks on humans, but not just any pranks. His are either macabre or disturbing. Although he is not so famous for shape-shifting, he has the ability to adopt different appearances to carry out his tricks. In some legends, he can influence people's dreams, creating nightmares or disturbing illusions. It is also said to be responsible for guiding lost souls to the other world, especially those who have suffered violent or tragic deaths. He prefers to live in dark and remote places, such as dense forests, caves, and ancient ruins. Sometimes, he can be found near villages, looking for opportunities for mischief. This is a solitary being that enjoys its independence. There are many stories about this being, tricking people into performing absurd tasks or wandering into unnecessary dangers, only to reveal itself and taunt them in the end. In some darker versions of the legend, he is associated with death and blood. He is said to wear a red cap dyed with the blood of his victims, similar to the figure of the red cap in Scottish folklore. Number 5. Gancanach. This creature has a human appearance, but its beauty is so perfect that you realize that it is not like any other mortal. Her features are fine and well-defined, her skin is clear and smooth. The most hypnotic are her eyes, which catch you just by looking at them, and her smile, which is simply irresistible. He always wears elegant clothes, like something out of another era. You will see him with a tight jacket, well-cut pants, and sometimes a cape that gives him an even more mysterious air. He always carries a pipe with him from which a sweet and tempting smoke comes out. This being has a special gift to charm and seduce, especially women. His presence is so irresistible that just by speaking he can make anyone fall under his spell. His voice has a hypnotic power that envelops you completely. There are legends that say that the skin of the Gancanach is toxic. If someone touches it, they become addicted to that touch. And if they are separated from it, they fall into despair. As a good feric being, he is immortal and never ages, always maintaining his youthful and attractive appearance. It prefers to live in natural and beautiful places, such as meadows, forests, and riverbanks. These environments enhance its ethereal appearance and connection to nature. He tends to appear suddenly before solitary travelers or people who are alone in nature, using the element of surprise to begin his seduction. Those who hear her sweet voice and see her beautiful face are in danger of losing their will. Despite his charm, he is a lonely and melancholy being. He seeks companionship to alleviate his eternal loneliness. Many legends tell stories of women who fall in love with him only to be abandoned. This separation leads to madness or even death. Number 6. Bodach. The Bodach is a stooped and thin old man with a frail but scary appearance. His face is full of wrinkles and looks haggard, with small eyes that look at you with malice. His mouth always seems twisted into a wicked smile. This character is known for her nocturnal visits to homes, especially children's rooms. Although sometimes seen as a mischievous spirit, the Bodach can also have rather sinister intentions. His mischief may include frightening children, messing up the house, and causing unrest among those who live there. In some versions, he is said to punish children who have misbehaved, acting as a sort of supernatural disciplinary figure. It prefers to live in dark and secluded places, such as caves, cellars, and dense forests. Stories about the Bodach serve as a warning to children to be good and obey their parents. In some traditions, the Bodak is associated with death and spirits of the afterlife. He may act as a messenger or guide for lost souls. He shares characteristics with other figures in European folklore, such as the Hombre del Saco or the Boogeyman, which are also used to scare and discipline children. Before continuing with the video, if you have come this far and you like it, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Like the video, and if you can comment what you think or suggest me new themes or mythologies for future videos, this is something that really comes in handy. And if you join channel members, your help is infinite. This allows me to not depend so much on visits or advertising and allows me to create content with more freedom. Thank you, and we continue. Number 7. Cleodna. Cleodna is a woman of great beauty and grace, radiating a charm and attractiveness that captures the attention of all who see her. She has long, wavy hair, golden or deep red in color. Her clothes are luxurious and finely embroidered. She has a crown of flowers or jewels, symbolic of her royalty among the fairies and her close connection to nature. Known for her influence on love and beauty, Cleodna can bestow love and blessings on those who venerate her. Lovers and poets seek her favor, as she possesses a wide range of magical powers. She controls the natural elements, especially water, and has the ability to transform her appearance and that of others. One of her abilities is her hypnotic singing. Her voice is so beautiful that she can stop time and make mortals forget their worries, drawing them into her presence. Cleodna is a fairy queen in Tir na Nog, the land of eternal youth. This realm is a place of eternal beauty and joy, where there is no death or aging. She is also associated with the Side, the sacred hills where fairies dwell. She often interacts with humans, especially those who show great love or beauty. She can be benevolent and protective, but also dangerous if she feels betrayed or dishonored. One of the best-known legends about Cleodna tells of her love for a mortal named Chiaban. She left the fairy realm to be with him, but was betrayed by a magical wave sent by Mananan Maclir, the god of the sea, which swept her back to the sea. This story gave rise to the Wave of Cleodna, a famous wave on the coast of County Cork. It is said that every time this wave breaks, it is a reminder of the tragedy of Cleodna and her lost love. In other legends, Cleodna is a protector of the helpless and those in love, using her powers to help those in desperate or amorous situations. Number 8. Enbar. Enbar is a horse of incredible beauty and strength, with a shiny coat that seems to reflect light as if it were silver or white. His mane is long and wavy, like sea foam. Enbar is no ordinary horse. He has the incredible ability to travel by land, sea, and air, carrying his rider to any destination effortlessly. And best of all, it never tires. It can travel great distances without tiring, making it the perfect companion for gods and heroes. This magical horse is closely linked to Mananan Maclir, the god of the sea and lord of the otherworld. Enbar is his favorite, his loyal and invulnerable companion. No deadly weapon can hurt Enbar, making him ideal for the most dangerous adventures. The god of the sea uses this incredible horse to travel between worlds. But he is not only loyal to his owner, he can also be lent to worthy heroes, as long as they respect and revere his power. Enbar is not only fast and tough, he is also a symbol of the connection between the mortal world and the other world. His ability to travel by land, sea, and air represents how these realms are linked. Enbar embodies loyalty and protection. It not only gets you where you need to go, it also protects you from harm. We all know the Minotaur, Medusa, and other popular creatures from Greece, and although Rome has very similar beings, we also find very peculiar and little-known creatures. In this video, we will discover creatures from Roman mythology that almost nobody knows about. Number 1. Strix. The Strix is not a typical bird. It's like the creepiest owl you can imagine. But it's not only a master of night flight. It also has a particular taste for blood, especially that of the innocent. According to ancient Roman stories, the Strix would come out at night in search of unsuspecting babies and children to suck their blood. But the Strix is not just a story to scare children and keep them indoors when the sun goes down. Its legend has deep roots in Roman mythology, reflecting the fear of the unknown, the dark, and the vulnerability of the young. Moreover, this being was not just a monster of the shadows, it was linked to witchcraft and black magic. You don't only have to worry about a bloodthirsty bird, but also about the possibility of it transforming into a person during the day. The Romans had their own methods to combat this menace and other evil creatures: amulets, spells, rituals, protective inscriptions. They spared no resources when it came to keeping the Strix at bay and ensuring that their homes were a safe haven from dark forces. Number 2. Crocoda. The crocoda is a wild creature, which is said to possess a combination of several animals, such as the wolf and the lion. According to ancient texts, it is a beast of great strength, a born predator whose roar could leave you shaking with fear, and the creepiest thing about the creature is its ability to imitate the human voice. This creature could listen to the conversations of humans and then replicate their voices to lure unwary people to isolated locations and ambush them. Imagine hearing the voice of a family member or friend calling out to you only to discover that this deadly being is the one luring you to your doom. This creature is not only a hunter in the physical sense, it is also a hunter of souls, playing with our minds and luring us out of our safety. Aside from its terrifying vocal ability, its skin is impenetrable, a natural armor against arrows and swords. This trait makes it invulnerable in battle. The crocoda lives in the distant and exotic lands on the edges of the known world. Number 3. Lemur. The lemur are beings from the afterlife that show the ancient Romans' beliefs about death, the afterlife, and the spirit of the ancestors. Unlike the heroes and deities of Roman mythology, the lemur are the restless spirits of the dead, those who have not found peace after their death. And what could the Romans do to keep these spirits from hanging around and causing trouble? They had a festival called Lemuria. Imagine the scene. It's night, everything is dark, and the head of the family gets up, takes off his sandals and starts walking around the house, throwing black beans over his shoulder. Apparently, Lemur loved broad beans, or so the Romans thought. All this while the paterfamilias recites some magic words to make the spirits go away and leave the living in peace. The lemur were not just to frighten children and stop them from misbehaving. It had many deeper meanings. It was a way of reminding everyone how important it was to respect the dead, to do the right rituals, and to maintain a good relationship with the afterlife. The Romans believed that if you lived a good life and were sent off properly, all would be well after death. If not, you could end up wandering around like a lemur, and no one wanted that. Number 3. Abarimon. The Abarimon, according to stories of antiquity, lived in a place so remote that not even the most adventurous of Roman or Greek explorers could have reached it. We are talking about a hidden valley in Mount Emmaus, which many today associate with the Himalayan region or Central Asia. But what makes the Abarimon noteworthy is not where they lived, but what they looked like. Their feet were said to be upside down, heels forward and toes backwards. Imagine for a second trying to walk like that. It sounds complicated, doesn't it? But for the Abarimon, this was no impediment. On the contrary, they were known for their incredible speed, able to run through their mountain valley faster than you and I could run in our best trainers. Number 5. Panati. The Panati are not creatures of Roman mythology in the traditional sense. Their origin is to be found in ancient writers' accounts of exotic peoples and creatures that supposedly inhabited the far reaches of the known world. The Panati are a group of people who, according to the ancients, had ears so large that they reached down to their shoulders, so large that they could use them as blankets to cover themselves at night. The description of the Panati was not only limited to their huge ears, the stories also tell that they lived simple, nomadic lives and were in touch with nature. With those big ears, they would surely listen perfectly when I say, "Hey, subscribe to support me." Not like some people who watch my videos weekly and ignore me, so I have to insist again. They are not going to charge you for subscribing. Neither am I going to get your personal data. That's taken care of by others. Now seriously, thanks to all of you who are supporting me week after week, let's continue. Number 6. Genius loci. the genius loci, or the spirit of the place. It's not a mythical creature that you would come across in an enchanted forest, but it is something that could make you feel at peace in that forest, or anywhere. The Romans believed that every place, whether it was a cozy home, a bustling square, or even an entire city, had its own protective spirit. Think of it as a kind of invisible guardian, watching over each place and those who live in it. In your own home, that spirit could be the genius of your family, making sure everyone is safe and happy. In the streets, it would be the protector of the city, maintaining peace and prosperity. And in nature, every tree, every river had its own spirit. In ancient Rome, it was common to have a small altar in your house, a lararium, where you leave offerings and make prayers for that particular genius, hoping for his protection and blessings. The concept also extended to natural landscapes such as forests, springs, rivers, and mountains, each of which was considered to be inhabited by its own protective spirit. Number 7. Monoceros. Although, when you think of Roman mythology, the pantheon gods, fauns, and nymphs come to mind, the unicorn is not far behind. This creature, although not as often mentioned as the others, also had its place in the stories and beliefs of antiquity. The curious thing is that both the Greeks and the Romans spoke of it, describing it as a wild, pure being with enormous strength. But most interesting of all is its horn, which was not just for show. It was believed to have magical and healing properties. Pliny the Elder, in his Encyclopedia Natural History, mentions the monoceros as part of his cataloging of the natural world, describing it as an animal with the body of a horse, the head of a deer, the feet of an elephant, and the tail of a wild boar, crowned by a long black horn in the center of its forehead. Nothing to do with Disney's unicorns. Number 8. Onocentaur. The onocentaur is a mythological creature that combines a man and an ass. Unlike the centaur of Greek mythology, which has the upper body of a man and the lower body of a horse, the onocentaur has the lower part of a donkey. Not exactly the animal that springs to mind when you think of powerful and noble mythical creatures, is it? But here's the thing. The onocentaur is not here to impress us with its strength or speed. The onocentaur symbolizes aspects of human nature that we prefer to ignore or sweep under the carpet. We are talking about lust, stupidity, or lack of control. Ancient art made no bones about it. They depicted the onocentaur in a way that could serve as a warning. Although the onocentaur does not figure as prominently in Roman or Greek mythologies as other beings, it gives us clues about how these cultures saw the world and themselves. Perhaps it teaches us to look at our own faults with a little humor and humility, because at the end of the day, we all have a little bit of onocentaur in us, struggling to find the balance between the human and the animal.
Me so corny!
Number 9. Katoblepas. The katoblepas is like an ox, but not just any ox. It has a body covered in scales, as if nature couldn't decide between making it a fish or a mammal. Now add to that a huge head, so heavy that it almost always hangs to the ground. Can you visualize it already? Because here comes the good part. It is said that if by any chance it looks up and sees you, bam! Its gaze has the power to kill you or turn you to stone. And no, I'm not talking about the famous Medusa, although with that power, they could be distant cousins. And how does an animal with a plant-based diet end up with such lethal power? Well, therein lies the mystery of these ancient legends. The katoblepa lives in swampy areas, away from the curious gaze of travelers, making you wonder what else is hidden in places where human feet rarely tread. Number 10. Aclis. The aclis is a strange and unique animal. According to Pliny, this creature has such long legs and stiff knee joints that it cannot lie down to sleep, so it must rest against a tree. No napping on the ground like the rest of us. The aclis had to lean against a tree to rest. Now that's what it means to have trouble sleeping. But there's more. This animal had such a large lower lip that it had to walk backwards when eating to avoid stepping on it. And despite this, the aclis was a natural runner, fast as the wind despite its stiff joints and unique feeding technique. Number 11. Cacus. Cacus, for those who don't have him on their mythological creature radar, is not exactly the friendly neighbor you'd like to borrow a cup of sugar from. Rather, he's a giant or monster with a rather interesting pedigree, being the son of Vulcan, the god of fire. And as the son of such a fiery god, Cacus had the peculiar ability to exhale fire from his mouth. Not bad for scaring off unwanted visitors, this character lived in a cave on the Aventine Hill, which is one of those 7 legendary hills on which Rome was built. But Cacus was not exactly the host of the year. His cave was full of stolen loot from his excursions in the area. Cacus's most famous story begins and ends with an unfriendly encounter with Hercules. It turns out that after stealing the giant Geryon's oxen, Hercules was passing through what would one day be Rome, and our friend Cacus couldn't resist adding a few more oxen to his personal collection. So he promptly stole some of Hercules' oxen, dragging them behind him so as to leave no trace. But of course, this is Hercules, and he wasn't about to let them just take what was his. After an intense search, the sounds of his oxen led him to the cave of Cacus, and there all hell broke loose. Despite Cacus's pyrotechnic powers, Hercules showed him who was the real hero here, freeing the oxen and putting an end to the monster's misdeeds. This is a story the Romans told with pride, as a reminder of the values and virtues they expected to see in their society. Number 12. Caladrius. Caladrius is a bird as white as snow, so pure that its presence alone makes you feel a little more relieved. It is said that this bird has the power to absorb a person's illness just by looking at them. Then, as if that were not enough, it flies off into the sun, taking the illness with it and burning it in the sun's fire. Thus, the patient is cured, freed from his illness, thanks to this incredible mediator between the world of mortals and gods. The presence of this bird in the house of a sick person was considered a good omen, especially if the Caladrius looked at the patient, which indicated that the person would recover. Conversely, if the bird averted its gaze, it was taken as a bad omen, presaging imminent death. Number 13. Faun. Fauns are a direct vision of the union between humanity and the animal kingdom. A creature that has the torso, arms, and face of a human, but the legs, horns, and ears of a goat. As if a man and a goat have merged into a being that you can't stop looking at. The most famous of these beings is the god Faunus, identified or confused with Pan, the Greek shepherd god, with similar characteristics. Faunus is the protector of shepherds and their flocks, the patron of fertility and peace in the fields and valleys. The Romans venerated him, holding festivals in his honor, full of music, dance, and, well, a bit of festive mayhem. Faunus kept the balance, ensuring that life in the countryside flourished. Fauns, and especially Faunus himself, were not only serious and protective, they had a playful, almost mischievous side. They were also known for their somewhat seductive encounters, to put it mildly. Come on, they were hotter than a heater. They are credited with the invention of the flute, an instrument that shows their love of music, and with which they can convey both joy and fear, depending on their mood or intentions. Number 1. Lizard Man of Scape Ore Swamp. The Lizard Man of Scape Ore is a legendary creature that inhabits the Scape Ore Swamp region near Bishopville in South Carolina. Since the late 1980s, there have been several reports and accounts of encounters with this creature, making it a notable figure in contemporary American folklore. The Lizard Man is described as a bipedal creature approximately 7 feet, 2.1 meters, tall, with shiny green scales. Its eyes are often described as red and glowing. Although some reports suggest that the creature can be aggressive, especially when it feels threatened, it mostly seems to avoid human contact. There have been reports of damage to vehicles, where the creature is said to have left bite and scratch marks. The Lizard Man gained notoriety in 1988 when a young man named Christopher Davis reported having an encounter with the creature. Davis claimed that, after stopping on a road near Scape Ore Swamp to change a flat tire, he was attacked by a creature that jumped onto the roof of his car. He managed to escape, but the incident left a lasting impression. After Davis shared his story, other local residents began reporting similar sightings and unexplained damage to their vehicles. Some believed the sightings could be the result of misidentification of wild animals common in the region, such as bears or large reptiles. Number 2. Rougarou. Rougarou, also known as loup-garou, is a legendary creature with roots in French mythology that has become deeply intertwined with Louisiana folklore, especially in Cajun communities. This creature is similar to the European werewolf. The rougarou is a creature with a human head and the body of a wolf or dog. It is a large beast that walks on two legs. It is also sometimes described as transforming completely into a wolf, but with human cognitive abilities. The curse of the rougarou means that the creature must feed on blood. Those who are bitten by it become one of them in turn, unless they can keep the secret of having been bitten for a set period of time, usually 101 days. If they succeed, the curse returns to the original rougarou. This monster is said to lurk in the swamps, hunting those who practice witchcraft or break Lent 7 years in a row. In some versions of the legend, the rougarou hunts and attacks those who do not follow certain traditions or rules. Before we dive deeper into today's video, I've got a small ask. Instead of just letting me know what you think, I'd love to hear if you've got any tales or legends about creatures from your neck of the woods. Your input is super valuable. In fact, today's video was inspired in part by stories shared by folks right here in our community. Your story might just spark our next video. Number 3, the Enfield Horror. This whistling tripod can leap at least 25 feet in a single bound and could be an evil spirit or an alien, depending on who you ask. The local sheriff asked a witness to stop telling his story as it was attracting real danger to the neighborhood in the form of monster hunters drinking beer in hopes of firing a shot or two at the creature. The most common description is that of a being approximately 5 feet tall, with 3 legs, glowing eyes, and short, thin arms ending in claws. Some reports also mention a kind of crest or mane running down its back. Sightings often describe the creature emitting guttural or screeching sounds. It all began in April 1973 when a local resident, Henry McDaniel, claimed to have had an encounter with the creature. According to McDaniel, the being attempted to enter his home and, after a brief confrontation, jumped into a nearby field and disappeared. McDaniel reported the incident to the police, and although it was initially met with skepticism, other residents began reporting similar sightings. These sightings attracted the attention of monster hunters and journalists, who flocked to Enfield in search of evidence of the creature's existence. After a brief period of media frenzy, the sightings ceased, and the story fell into obscurity, although it has occasionally resurfaced in popular culture and among paranormal enthusiasts. Number 4, Beast of Busco. The legend of the Beast of Busco is an iconic piece of folklore from Churubusco, Indiana, commonly known by locals as Busco. The Busco beast is described as a giant turtle. Reports suggest that it may be up to 4.5 meters in diameter, which would make it significantly larger than any known turtle. Despite its size, most accounts of the Busco's beast describe it as a shy and elusive animal, preferring to remain hidden in the depths of the lake in which it is believed to live. In the late 1940s, Churubusco became the epicenter of great excitement as crowds flocked in hopes of seeing a giant aquatic monster, similar in size to a Chevrolet. For weeks, Buscomania fervor dominated the town. In an attempt to catch this enigmatic creature, some hunters even released an impressive turtle into the lake, although their efforts proved to be in vain. Despite numerous attempts to find the giant turtle, no concrete evidence of its existence has ever been presented. Nevertheless, the legend has endured and has been the subject of local festivals and celebrations. Number 5, Alkali Lake Monster. The Alkali Lake Monster is a crypto creature that inhabits Walgren Lake near Hay Springs, Nabi. It is less well known than other lake monsters such as the Loch Ness Monster or the Ogopogo. The Alkali Monster's stories and sightings have caused speculation and mystery for years in the region. The Alkali Monster is a large reptile or snake-like creature measuring 40 to 60 feet long. It is described as having a dark brown or greenish color and scales. Some reports also mention that it has a horn or a kind of crest on its head. This monster is generally shy and elusive, although there have been reports of it attacking animals and even boats on the lake. The legend of the Alkali Monster dates back to at least the early 20th century. Initial sightings tended to come from local residents who claimed to have seen a massive creature swimming in the waters of the lake. Over time, the monster story attracted visitors and curious onlookers to the area, hoping to catch a glimpse of the creature. One of the most famous sightings took place in 1922 when a group of people claimed to have seen the monster while on a picnic by the lake. This story contributed greatly to the legend. Number 6. The Michigan Dogman. This is a legendary creature said to inhabit the woods of northern Michigan. Descriptions and accounts of this mythological figure have circulated for over a century, and it has been the subject of numerous stories, songs, and debates within the cryptozoology community. The wolf is described as a bipedal creature that combines traits of a man and a wolf or dog. It has the head of a canine with glowing, often red eyes and a humanoid torso. Its body is covered with fur, and it is usually about 2 to 2.5 meters tall. It is rarely aggressive, but its appearance and the howls it emits can be frightening. The first recorded account dates back to 1887 in Wexford County, Michigan. Since then, there have been multiple reports and sporadic sightings of the creature over the years. Interest in the Michigan Dogman peaked in 1987 when a local radio host, Steve Cook, recorded a song called The Legend as an April Fool's Day prank. The song recounted sightings of the creature and quickly gained popularity, leading many people to share their own stories and experiences with the Dogman. Number 7. Dover Demon. The Dover Demon is a mysterious creature that was sighted on several occasions over a short period of time in 1977 in Dover, Massachusetts. Although the sightings were brief, this creature has left a lasting impression and has become the subject of discussion and speculation for decades. It is described as a small-sized being, about 3 feet tall, with a disproportionately large head in relation to its slender body. Its skin is smooth and of an orange or pinkish hue. It has large, bright eyes without pupils. Its limbs are long and slender, and it does not appear to have distinctive features such as a visible nose, mouth, or ears. The Dover Demon was observed primarily at night. It showed no signs of aggression in any of the encounters. The story began on the night of April 21st, 1977, when a teenager named Bill Bartlett was driving with friends and saw a strange figure walking along a stone wall. Although he initially thought it might be a dog or cat, he soon realized from its gait and unusual silhouette that it was not any animal he recognized. That same night, and over the next 24 hours, 2 other young men, John Baxter and Will Tainter, also reported sightings of a similar creature at different locations in Dover. Some have speculated that the Dover Demon could be some sort of extraterrestrial or otherworldly being. The sightings occurred over a short period of time and have not been consistently reported since. This has led some to speculate that the Dover Demon could be the result of mass hysteria or sightings influenced by the power of suggestion. Number 8. The Beast of Bray Road. The Beast of Bray Road is a cryptid creature, or unidentified being, said to inhabit the rural region near Elkhorn, Wisconsin, in the vicinity of Bray Road. Since the late 1980s, there have been numerous sightings and reports of this creature. The beast is described as a large, hairy creature with canine features that can walk either on all fours or upright on 2 legs. Its eyes are described as glowing or gleaming, and it has sharp claws. In most accounts, the creature appears to be more curious than aggressive, but there have been reports of the beast showing aggressive behavior, especially when it feels threatened. Stories about the Beast of Bray Road began to gain attention in the 1980s and early 1990s, when several local residents reported seeing a strange creature on the road or in nearby fields. The accounts varied in detail, but the commonly shared description was that of a werewolf-like creature. Local journalist Linda Godfrey was one of the first to report extensively on these sightings, which led to increased public awareness and fascination with the beast. In case you are interested, Linda wrote a book on the subject, The Beast of Bray Road. Number 9. Oklahoma Octopus. The Oklahoma octopus is a creature of local folklore said to inhabit several Oklahoma lakes. This legendary creature has captured the imagination and fear of local residents due to stories of unexplained drownings that some attribute to this being. As its name suggests, the Oklahoma octopus is described as a kind of giant octopus with long, powerful tentacles. The creature is known to be aggressive and is believed to be responsible for numerous drownings in Oklahoma lakes. Legends tell of it ambushing and dragging unsuspecting swimmers into the depths, some of which remain unexplained. have fueled stories of the Oklahoma octopus. Number 10. Bigfoot. Bigfoot is one of the most famous and widely recognized cryptid creatures in North American folklore. It is described as a hairy, bipedal, primate-like creature that lives in the forests and mountainous regions of North America, particularly in the Pacific Northwest. Bigfoot is characterized by its large stature, often described as between 6 and 9 feet. Its hair-covered body, usually brown or black, simian face, and, of course, its large feet. It is described as a shy and evasive creature, rarely showing itself in open areas and often avoiding human contact. Guttural sounds and nocturnal howls are attributed to it. Tales of Bigfoot-like creatures exist in many Native American cultures under various names and characteristics. Modern stories and interest in Bigfoot began to gain prominence in the 1950s and 1960s, especially after reports of footprints and the famous Patterson-Gimlin videotape filmed in 1967, which purportedly shows Bigfoot in motion. Some believe that Bigfoot is a real animal, possibly an undiscovered primate species or a remnant of an ancestor species, such as Gigantopithecus. It is well known that much Bigfoot evidence has been fabricated. Tracks can be faked, and many sightings can be explained by known animals or by simple deception. While diving into this video, I stumbled upon countless stories from all over the country about creatures similar to Bigfoot or those resembling the Loch Ness Monster. What's wild is that even though some of these tales sound alike, they're miles and miles apart. So, here's the deal. Would you be down for a video all about the American Bigfoots and another on sea creatures from the States? Number 11. Bear Lake Monster. The Bear Lake Monster is a legendary creature said to inhabit Bear Lake, a large freshwater lake located on the border between Utah and Idaho. The story of this monster is an important part of local folklore and has been compared to other lake creature legends, such as the famous Loch Ness Monster in Scotland. Its descriptions vary, but it is commonly depicted as a serpentine creature with a long, undulating body. It is said to be about 30 feet, approximately 9 meters long, with short legs and a head similar to that of a crocodile or dragon. The monster has the ability to move quickly through the water, creating massive waves in its wake. It is sometimes credited with unusual sounds or roars emerging from the lake. The stories date back to at least the 19th century. Early Mormon settlers in the area told stories about the creature, some of which included sightings and close encounters. The monster has been said to have chased swimmers and capsized boats, although no direct attacks on humans have been reported. Scotland is known for its landscapes, castles, and William Wallace. Oh, freedom! But there is more to this land than meets the eye. Creatures, spirits, monsters, and supernatural beings. These beings have come down to us thanks to the ancient myths and stories told around the campfire, at a time when people didn't fry their minds by compulsively flicking through videos every 3 seconds. These are 12 of the creatures of Scottish mythology. If you think they are few and you want a part 2, leave a comment. If we reach 200 comments on this video, I will give it top priority. Number 1. Baithir. The Baithir is a terrifying creature and one of the most fearsome and powerful entities in Highland folklore. The Baithir is a serpent or dragon of great size. It has a thick, scaly skin, which can vary in color but is generally dark, allowing it to camouflage itself in the shadows of the mountains and caves where it resides. Its eyes are fiery, piercing, and haunting, capable of hypnotizing and terrifying those who dare to look directly into them. Like the dragons of other mythologies, it can exhale fire or toxic vapor, making it a lethal adversary. If you're curious and like to explore dark caves or swim in deep mountain lakes, you might want to think twice, as the Baithir loves these lonely, dark places, emerging only to hunt, or if it feels its personal space is being invaded, and it's not exactly friendly. It doesn't like to share, so it regards any intrusion as a declaration of war. Some say the Baithir is not just muscle and bad breath. It may also have magical or prophetic powers. Its appearance, for many, is not just a fright, but an omen. There are stories that paint her as the keeper of ancient secrets and treasures. Before continuing, I want to clarify. Normally my pronunciation is not the best in the world, but for this video in which many words come from Gaelic, I have it even more complicated. Thanks for your understanding. Number 2, FHM. It is described as a being with only one eye, one leg, and one arm, all centered in the middle of its body. The FHM's eye is large and piercing, capable of striking fear into anyone who looks directly at it. Its single leg and foot allow it to move, albeit unevenly, and its single arm is described as very strong and ending in a clawed hand. Its skin is rough and possibly covered with feathers or fur. It is also said that the FHM may have feathers or a crest on its head. It is extremely solitary, inhabiting remote and desolate areas of the highlands, avoiding contact with humans and other creatures. The FHM is a guardian of Scotland's wild and uninhabited areas and can be very territorial and aggressive if it feels threatened or invaded. Number 3, Selkie. Selkies are unique creatures from Scottish mythology, associated with Orkney and Shetland. They are known for their ability to transform from seal to human. In their seal form, they are indistinguishable from the common seals found in the cold waters of the North Atlantic. They are sleek and graceful in the water, with smooth, shiny skin that allows them to glide through the sea with ease. This form allows them to live in the ocean, where they have a family and a life of their own, just like any other sea creature. What distinguishes Selkies from other mythological creatures is the ability to shed their seal skin and transform into humans. According to legend, when a Selkie comes ashore, it can shed its seal skin, revealing a human form underneath. In this human form, they are beings of great beauty and great charm, with features reminiscent of their sea life, such as flowing hair, reminiscent of ocean waves, and eyes that reflect the deep ocean. This transformation is not just a change of appearance. It is at the heart of numerous legends that explore deep themes, such as love, loss, and longing to belong to two different worlds. On the one hand, they have a life and family at sea, but when they are on land, their existence is complicated. The tragedy of the Selkies is palpable in stories of how humans, captivated by their charm, can hide their sea skin. These acts of selfish love create heartbreaking dilemmas. For although a Selkie may seem to adapt to life on land, marry, and even have children, the call of the ocean is an unstoppable force. If they ever find their hidden skin, they will not hesitate to return to the sea, leaving their earthly life behind, no matter what bonds they have formed. Number 4, Nuckallavee. The Nuckallavee is one of the most feared and peculiar creatures in Scottish mythology, especially in Orkney. It is a demonic and malevolent sea creature with a grotesque and terrifying appearance. In appearance, it is unique and horrifying. It is an unnatural fusion of man and horse, but in a much more macabre way than, for example, a centaur from Greek mythology. The creature has two distinct forms. In one, the upper part is a giant man and the lower part is a horse. The most terrifying thing is that it has no skin, exposing red, bloody muscles, veins, and arteries pulsing with evil life. The man's part is extremely large, even in proportion to his equine half, with an arm that extends so long that it can reach the ground. His head is enormous, possibly inflated, sideways, as if it were too heavy to support. The mouth is huge, capable of exhaling a poisonous breath that can wither crops and sicken livestock. The eyes are fiery and full of malice. As for the horse's half, it is of inordinate proportions and carries a huge dorsal fin similar to that of a fish. The fusion of the two halves is so unnatural that it gives the creature an unbalanced appearance. The Nuckallavee has no permanent home on land, as its main domain is the sea, but it is believed to emerge from its watery realm to bring disease and desolation. Stories tell that even its presence is enough to ruin crops and sicken animals, and that breathing its breath is certain death. One of the few ways to escape this repugnant creature is to cross fresh water, such as a river or stream, as it is believed to be unable to tolerate the purity of fresh water. Number 5, Kelpie. In its most basic form, the Kelpie is a water spirit that can take many different forms, although its best-known manifestation is that of a horse. As a horse, the Kelpie is very beautiful, with a black or white coat that shines. Its large, expressive eyes have a green or blue glow, reflecting the depths of the water in which it lives. This form of horse is seductive, designed to entice people to ride on its back, especially children or weary travelers. But once someone rides the kelpie, the deceptive creature reveals its true form. Its skin becomes sticky, trapping the rider, and the kelpie then dives into the water, dragging its victim into the depths to drown and, according to some stories, devour it. Another important ability is its ability to transform into a man. In this human form, the kelpie is a handsome young man, but with certain markings that reveal his true form. For example, he may have seaweed in his hair or hooves instead of feet, something that links him to the water and his horse form. This transformation is another tactic used by the kelpie to lure its victims, seducing them with its charming appearance before revealing its true, terrifying form. In addition, the kelpie has a hypnotic voice, able to mimic human cries and screams to lure people to it. It is also believed to possess superhuman strength with which it can manipulate the water and weather around it. The kelpie is a predator and a harbinger of storms or natural disasters. Number 6. Boobrie. The boobrie is, in essence, a large bird, described as a gigantic water bird. Its size is the most striking feature, larger than any known bird. The boobrie's wingspan is so large that its wingspan can obscure the sky when it flies. It is a malevolent creature, with the ability to transform itself into various mythical creatures. In its favorite bird manifestation, the boobrie resembles a cormorant, but with white markings. It has dark, jet-black feathers. Its beak is large and strong, capable of capturing and devouring large prey, and its eyes are piercing. Despite its large size, it is an agile swimmer and flyer, able to dive into the water in search of food and take to the sky with ease. It prefers to feed on livestock, especially calves and sheep. This makes it feared by farmers and inhabitants of the regions where it is said to live, and it is also very fond of otters, which it eats in large quantities. Another interesting ability is its supposed ability to imitate sounds, including those of other animals. There are stories in which the boobrie tricks its prey by imitating the sound of a wounded or endangered animal to lure other animals or even people to it. Number 7. Catshi. The catshi is a feline spirit, described as a large cat, similar in size to a dog. Its fur is black, smooth and shiny, with a single white spot on its chest, which is sometimes interpreted as a supernatural mark. Its eyes are large, piercing, and of a bright yellow or green color, which seem to glow with an almost human-like intelligence and great cunning. He has the ability to walk silently, an ability that allows him to move undetected. The catshi is known to be a capricious being. It is associated with the otherworld of Celtic mythology, a realm of spirits and the supernatural. He is believed to have the ability to bless or curse families, depending on how he is treated. In some stories, if a family cares for and respects him, he can bring good fortune, while if he is scorned or ignored, he can cause bad luck and misfortune. A famous legend is their behavior during funerals. It is said that if a body is not guarded before burial, the catshi could jump over the corpse, thus stealing the soul of the deceased and preventing it from reaching the afterlife. This led to the practice of the night vigil, where friends and relatives would stay with the body all night, singing, telling stories, or playing games to keep catshi away. It is also said that the catshi could transform into a human being. In these stories, he adopts a graceful human form to blend in with the people or to carry out some mission in the human world. On Samhain, the Celtic festival marking the end of the harvest and the beginning of winter, it was believed that the catshi had special powers and that its presence and power was stronger. If you want to know more about Samhain, I have a video on the channel in which I tell how this Celtic holiday ended up becoming the Halloween we know today. Number 8. Gilly-doo. The gilly-doo is known for its gentle and protective nature, especially towards children and nature, which sets it apart from many of the other more fearsome and aggressive creatures on this list. Physically, he is a masculine being, a spirit or guardian of the forest. He is tall and slender, with an appearance that blends with elements of nature. His skin has greenish or brownish tones, like the bark and leaves of trees, and he has great agility to move through the trees undetected. The gilly-doo's hair is long and messy, resembling branches and leaves, and it wears clothes made of moss, leaves, and other natural resources of the forest. This camouflage allows it to blend in with the forest, appearing almost invisible to the eyes of those who are not aware of its presence. The ghillie-doo is known for its shy nature, preferring to avoid contact with adults or those who might pose a threat to its beloved forest. He is also said to be kind and protective of children, whom he helps if they get lost in the forest. There are stories in which the ghillie-doo guides lost children back to their homes or protects them until they are found. Most notable about the ghillie-doo is his love and connection to nature, especially trees. It is a guardian of the forests, caring for the plants and animals that live in them, and takes offense at any harm done to them. It can be both friendly and vengeful, showing a darker side to those who harm its natural home. Although not usually aggressive, he has the ability to use his powers to protect the forest, either by confusing intruders into getting lost, or by creating illusions to keep them away. Number 9. Redcap. The redcap is a small but robust and sinister-looking creature. He is depicted as an old man with a strong, muscular build, disproportionate to his size. His skin is pale and sickly, and his eyes are malicious, with evil reflected in them. The most distinctive thing about a redcap is, as its name suggests, its red cap. This cap is dyed with the blood of his victims and must remain wet with blood constantly, forcing him to kill frequently. Legend has it that if the cap dries out, the red cap loses its power and may even die. This creature wears torn and dirty clothes described in dark tones or stained with the blood of its countless victims. It wears iron boots that make a distinctive noise when it walks and is extremely fast despite its advanced age. He is known to be violent and aggressive. It inhabits the ruins of castles and towers in the border regions between Scotland and England. It attacks unsuspecting travelers who venture into its territory, using a pike or heavy mace. In addition to its brute strength, it also has magical powers, including the ability to turn invisible and cast spells. Often tricking his victims into letting their guard down before attacking, he possesses a keen intelligence and a deep knowledge of the dark arts. Number 10. Wolver. The wolver is known to be peaceful and benevolent. Unlike the typical werewolves of European mythology, the wolver is not a human that transforms into a wolf, but rather a sort of in-between creature, perpetually in its hybrid form. Physically, it is a creature with the body of a man and the head of a wolf. His stature is similar to that of a human, stocky and strong, but his head is clearly that of a wolf, with pointed ears, sharp eyes, and a strong jaw with canine teeth. Its body is covered with thick fur, usually gray in color. It lives in solitude, preferring the tranquility of living away from human settlements. Traditionally, it is thought to make its home in caves or dense forests, near bodies of water where it can fish, one of its favorite activities. Although its appearance may be scary, the wolver is known to be friendly and gentle. It is known for its benevolent attitude towards humans. Unlike other mythological creatures that are often hostile or malevolent, the wolver helps lost people, guiding them out of the woods or onto safe paths. There are stories in which the wolver leaves fish for poor families or those in need. This creature of Scottish mythology does not seek interaction with humans, but neither does it actively avoid it. It keeps to itself and avoids being seen. It is not aggressive unless provoked or threatened, in which case it will defend its territory or its life. Number 11. Banshee. The banshee is a spectral woman, a harbinger of death, and a messenger from beyond. Some legends say she is an old and disheveled woman, dressed in rags and with disheveled hair, showing decay and sadness. In others, she appears as a young woman of unparalleled beauty, with a pale face and long silver or black hair, wearing a white or gray dress. A key aspect of the banshee is its cry or wail. Their wailing is not only a sad sound, but has the power to break the heart of the listener, filling them with fear and sadness. This cry is said to be an announcement of the impending death of a member of the hearer's family, especially families of ancient and noble lineage. The banshee does not cause death, but rather mourns in anticipation of it. The banshee is a solitary creature, appearing at crossroads, near rivers, in ancient forests, or haunting the homes of those whose death is near. Some legends tell of the banshee's ability to transform into a variety of animal forms, such as a raven, a badger, or a hare, all animals associated with witchcraft and the supernatural in Celtic mythology. In some versions of the legend, the banshee may be specific to certain families, following the family lineage through generations. Number 12. Trow. Trows are small beings, similar in appearance to the trolls or elves of other European traditions. They are typically short in stature, with stocky, robust bodies, but they usually have somewhat grotesque or disproportionate features, such as large heads, broad noses, and big eyes. Their skin is pale or earthy in tone, showing their nocturnal nature. Trows are elusive. They prefer darkness and are most active at night, especially at times such as dusk or before dawn. During the day, they hide in their underground homes. They are also known for their love of music and dancing. They organize parties and dances at night, accompanied by enchanting music. Some stories tell that trows can cast spells on humans or kidnap them to join their parties. Trows have a mixed reputation. Although not malevolent, they are associated with mischief and mischievous behavior. They may be responsible for petty theft from farms or homes, taking objects that appeal to them, or causing disorder. But they are rarely considered dangerous or truly malicious. They also have the ability to shapeshift or become invisible. This allows them to move undetected among humans and get into mischief undetected. Devourers of souls, demons that seek to consume the vitality of the world so that chaos reigns, and protective creatures and beings that are in charge of saving us from these evil influences. In this video, we are going to see creatures, powerful symbols, beings, and demons from Egyptian mythology. Number 1. Abtu and Anet. Abtu and Anet are the protectors of Ra against the forces of chaos that threaten the cosmic order and the daily cycle of renewal of the sun. According to ancient Egyptian texts, such as the sarcophagus texts and the Book of the Dead, Abtu and Anet were much more than just sea creatures. They were seen as the supreme guardians during the pharaoh's travels along the Nile and, more importantly, during his journey through the Duat, the realm of the dead. But their role did not stop there. They also accompanied the sun in his solar boat during his nocturnal journey through the underworld, protecting Ra from any threat that might arise. Their main skill, and what made them so special, was their ability to ensure the navigation of the sun and the pharaoh through dangerous waters. In a world where the forces of chaos constantly lurked, having protectors like Abtu and Anet was vital. They represented protection against the unknown and guaranteed rebirth and resurrection, concepts that were cornerstones of Egyptian religion. A curious fact about these fish is how their protective function extended beyond the realm of the dead, for it was believed that their presence in the waters around Ra's solar boat helped to keep at bay the serpent Apophis, a demon of chaos that attempted to devour the sun each night. The idea that simple fish could play such a crucial role in maintaining cosmic order reflects the complexity and interconnectedness of Egyptian beliefs. Number 2. Bennu. The Bennu is considered to be a kind of herald of the universe, associated with nothing less than creation and rebirth. This sacred bird is intimately linked to the sun god Ra, and it is in the heart of Osiris that the Bennu finds its origin. It is born from the heart of a god. That alone gives us a clue to its importance. Depicted as a heron, Bennu was no ordinary bird. Its bright plumage, sometimes described as flaming, reflects its link with the sun. It also has 2 long feathers on the back of its head. Bennu is linked to the Ben stone at Heliopolis, which was like his personal solar throne. Now let's talk about its powers. Its song was said to usher in a new day, and its presence was an omen of good fortune. But beyond that, the Bennu had the power to regenerate itself. Legend has it that this creature created itself from the fire that burned at the tip of a sacred plant branch. The myth of Bennu did not stay only in Egypt. It crossed borders and became what we know today as the phoenix in Greek mythology. Number 3. Griffin. Although the griffin is not the main star in Egyptian stories as it may be in Greek or Persian ones, we cannot deny its presence. In Egyptian art and artifacts, we find depictions of creatures that share similarities with griffins, and it is believed that they symbolized protection and power. The griffin has an impressive mix: the body, tail, and hind legs of a lion, along with the head, wings, and sometimes the forelegs of an eagle. This fusion gives them a powerful and majestic appearance and unique abilities. The great strength derived from their lion side and the ability to fly thanks to their eagle wings make them formidable guardians against anyone who would desecrate or steal sacred treasures. Their presence in tombs and temples was not just decorative. They served as a powerful symbol of divine protection, a deterrent against evil that ensured the safety of the most sacred and valuable places. Despite their mythological nature, there were times in antiquity when their existence was believed to be real. Number 4. Hierakosphinx. The Hierakosphinx is one of several variants of sphinxes in Egyptian mythology, each with different combinations of animal and human parts. Unlike the more famous sphinx, which has the head of a human and the body of a lion, the Hierakosphinx integrates elements such as the head of a falcon and the lion. This combination shows the union of the abilities of both animals, the vision and flight of the falcon, together with the strength and authority of the lion. The presence of these creatures in mythology reflects the importance of both animals in ancient Egypt, with the falcon associated with Horus, the god of the sky, and the lion representing power. These creatures are not merely decorative. They are powerful guardians, designed to repel evil spirits or any intruder who dares to desecrate sacred places. Their function was clear: to protect with divine authority. Number 5. Apophis. Since the pyramid texts, Apophis has been seen as a monstrous being that personifies chaos. Imagine a serpent or dragon so gigantic that it can encircle the entire world. Each night, this creature battles Ra on his journey through the underworld, trying to stop the rebirth of the sun each morning. The sunrise we take for granted every day is, according to the ancient Egyptians, the result of an epic battle between good and evil. The terrifying thing about Apophis is not just his size or his appetite for the sun, but his ability to plunge the world into darkness. He is virtually indestructible, able to regenerate even if he is cut to pieces. This serpent is not just an enemy of Ra, it is the adversary against whom the gods and mankind must constantly fight. Why is this battle so important? Well, at the heart of Egyptian mythology, the daily struggle between Ra and Apophis symbolizes the eternal struggle between order and chaos, light and darkness. It is this battle that ensures the continuity of life and the cycle of the sun's rebirth each morning. The curious thing is how the ancient Egyptians were actively involved in this myth. They performed magical rituals and wrote spells to aid Ra in his battle against Apophis, believing strongly in the power of magic to influence the spirit world and maintain order in the universe. If Apophis ever defeated Ra, it would mean the end of the world as we know it, and a return to the primordial chaos from which it all arose. Number 6. Medjed. Unlike other Egyptian deities and mythological creatures, Medjed was not widely known until he gained popularity in modern times, especially after an exhibition in Japan. Medjed made his star appearance in the Greenfield Papyrus, part of the famous Book of the Dead. For those wondering, the Book of the Dead is a collection of spells that guide souls through the Duat, the Egyptian underworld, a passage to eternal life. This is where our friend Medjed comes into the picture, being one of the beings that the deceased encounter on their journey to the afterlife. He had the power to shoot his enemies with a beam of light, as well as the ability to remain hidden, invisible to mortal eyes. He is a ghostly figure, shrouded or perhaps cone-shaped, with only 2 eyes staring out of the darkness. This is the image of Medjed, different from typical depictions of Egyptian deities and mythological creatures, which usually look more like us or familiar animals. Number 7. Serpopard. The serpopard is a mythological creature that also appears in other ancient cultures, such as Mesopotamia. It is a creature with the body of a leopard and the long, curved neck of a snake. This unusual appearance combines the ferocious abilities of the leopard with the flexibility and length of the snake, creating a powerful image. These creatures appear in a variety of artistic contexts, from the pre-dynastic period to the beginning of dynastic history in Egypt, featuring prominently on ceremonial objects. This symbolism is particularly potent in depictions that emphasize royal authority and divine protection, as seen in the emblematic palette of King Narmer, which symbolizes the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. Number 8. Sphinx. In ancient Egypt, sphinxes were much more than just statues. They were symbols of strength, wisdom, and power. They were believed to protect the temples and tombs of the pharaohs, serving as eternal guardians against evil spirits and intruders. The most famous of all, the Great Sphinx of Giza, associated with the pharaoh Khafre, stands majestically near the Great Pyramids on the Giza Plateau. This monumental sculpture combines lion strength with human intelligence. In this case, the head is believed to be a portrait of Khafre himself. Beyond Egypt, the image of the Sphinx has traveled and been transformed, taking on new meanings and mythologies in cultures such as Greece, where it is often associated with riddles and punishment for those who cannot solve them. Number 9. Amit. Imagine this situation. You have passed from this world to the next and find yourself in the Duat, the place where the souls of the departed are judged. The climax is the weighing of the heart, where your heart, the center of your being and morality, is weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the symbol of truth and justice. And there, beside the scales, Amit waits, ready for the verdict. Amit is truly unique in the Egyptian pantheon. Part hippopotamus, part leopard, and with the head of a crocodile, she combines the characteristics of the three animals most feared by the ancient Egyptians. The ability for which Amit is known has nothing to do with magical powers or divine prowess. His role is far more shadowy. If your heart is heavier than the feather of Ma'at, indicative of a life lived in sin, Amit will devour your heart. This act marks the ultimate end of your journey. Without a heart, the soul cannot continue on to Aru, paradise, and is condemned to non-existence. Interestingly, despite her pivotal role in the Egyptian afterlife, Amit was neither worshipped nor had temples in her honor. Rather, she was a figure of warning, a constant reminder of the importance of living a righteous life in harmony with Ma'at to avoid a fatal fate in her jaws. Amit's presence at the judgment of the afterlife struck fear into the hearts of the living and the dead alike. Number 10. Uraeus. The uraeus is one of the most powerful symbols in ancient Egyptian mythology, representing sovereignty, divinity, and protection. It has its roots in snake worship, dating back to the earliest times of pharaonic Egypt. Imagine an upright cobra, ready to attack anyone who dares to threaten the ruler or the nation. That is the uraeus, a guardian linked to various Egyptian deities, such as Wajet, the cobra goddess of Lower Egypt. In time, the uraeus also became associated with powerful goddesses such as Isis and Hathor. Uraeus became a common sight protruding from the foreheads of pharaohs' crowns or from their diadems and headdresses. It symbolized constant vigilance and readiness to defend the ruler or the country against any threat. Its protective power was impressive. It was believed that it could spit fire at enemies, defending the pharaoh and Egypt with a divine fury. But the uraeus was not reserved exclusively for royalty. It was also found in amulets and personal items, extending its magical protection to the common people, shielding them from evil and danger. Number 11. Ba. The Ba is part of the human soul. It plays a crucial role in the afterlife, according to ancient Egyptian beliefs. Ba is one of several components that, according to the Egyptians, formed a person. Along with the Ka, the Ach, the name, the shadow, the heart, and of course the physical body, the Ba is essential to understanding how the ancient Egyptians viewed the afterlife. While the Ka is something of a spiritual double representing vitality, the Ba is presented to us in the form of a bird with a human head, symbolizing the personality and mobility of the soul after death. This bird form allowed the Ba to move freely, between the world of the living and the world of the dead. One of the beliefs about the Ba is that it could leave the grave at will, connecting heaven and earth. This mobility was crucial to the well-being of the deceased in the afterlife, as it allowed the Ba to interact with the world of the living during the day and return to the tomb or body at night. Imagine the importance of this. The Ba could visit loved ones, participate in the earthly world, and then return to rest with the body of the deceased. To ensure that the Ba could function properly and survive in the afterlife, it was vital that it could be reunited with the body of the deceased or its representative statue. This is where mummification and tombs came into play, serving as a home for the Ka and Ba that ensured a comfortable existence after death. In funerary art, especially in tomb paintings and texts such as the Book of the Dead, the Ba is often shown flying around the tomb or over the mummified body, crossing the threshold between life and death. What the ancient Egyptians really feared was the possibility that the Ba might not be able to reunite with the Ka, endangering eternal life. The destruction of the body or the tomb or the lack of offerings could prevent this meeting, leading to the annihilation of the soul. Voodoo, a religion many people associate with dolls and pins, but there's so much more to it than just that. Born in Africa ages ago, it still has a solid following today. But how did it make its way to America? Let's take a quick dive into some history. I promise I'll keep it snappy. 1492, Christopher Columbus sets sail from Spain, back then it was Castile, and stumbles upon America. With all its riches and vast lands, Portugal, Great Britain, France, and the Netherlands decide to jump into the colonization game. The continent braced itself for years of conquest, war, disease, and hardship. Fast forward a bit, and the Europeans thought, hey, with all these casualties, who's gonna do the heavy lifting? So, they hatched a plan. Work hard every day, hit the mines, pick cotton, tobacco, and sugar, and earn their fortunes fair and square. But then they thought twice and were like, you know what? Let's have someone else handle that. And so, over time, more than 12 million African men and women were forcefully uprooted from their homes and shipped to America to be sold and put to work in every kind of forced labor you can think of. These folks didn't have books, nor did they need them, as they couldn't read or write. But what they were great at was passing down, through stories, songs, and legends, the religion and tales of their ancestors, just like their parents and grandparents did with them. And with that, voodoo began to spread and blend with other religions throughout the Americas, especially in places like Haiti, Louisiana, USA, and parts of Brazil. The deities in voodoo, known as Loa, are spirits that act as go-betweens for humans and the big guy upstairs, called Bandi, coming from the French bon Dieu, or good God. Number 1. Papa Legba. Papa Legba has a crucial function in voodoo. Without his permission and guidance, no communication can take place between humans and other spirits. It is he who opens or closes the portal to the spirit world, and therefore, any voodoo ritual or ceremony usually begins by invoking Papa Legba to open the pathways and allow the other spirits to enter. He is depicted as an elderly man with a beard, leaning on a cane or crutch. He may also be seen with keys, a hat, bag, or sack, and is sometimes shown with a dog, which is one of his associated symbols. Crossroads are sacred places for Papa Legba, and that is why he is called the guardian of the crossroads. He is also associated with doors, portals, and thresholds. Although he is an elder, Papa Legba is playful and cunning. He is wise, but also has a sense of humor and enjoys mischief. He is considered benevolent, and is known to help those who seek him out with a just cause. Due to colonization and the imposition of Catholicism, many voodoo practitioners syncretized their spirits with Catholic saints in order to continue practicing their faith clandestinely. Respect and relationship with Papa Legba is fundamental for any voodoo practitioner. If Papa Legba closes the roads or doors, prayers and offerings will not reach the spirits, and if he opens them, communication flows freely. It is the voice and language of the universe that translates the divine messages and presents them in a way that is understandable to mortals. Number 2. Baron Samedi is the spirit of the cemetery, of death and regeneration, and is known as much for his theatrical appearance as for his bold and sometimes irreverent behavior. He reigns over the graveyard and the dead. Although he may appear fearsome, he is also a spirit of resurrection and is invoked to heal people who are on the verge of death, as he has control over life and death. He is unmistakable, dressed in a black tailcoat, sunglasses with a broken eye, which allows him to see both the spiritual and earthly realm, and a tall top hat adorned with a cross. His face may be painted white, similar to a skull. He is closely associated with crosses, tombs, and of course the cemetery. In addition, rum and tobacco are common offerings to him. Despite his role as a guardian of death, Baron Samedi is known for his playful nature, his laughter, and his love of rum and partying. He is bold, irreverent, and enjoys pranks and mischief. He is married to Maman Brigitte, a powerful spirit who protects the graves of those who have been unjustly treated. Baron Samedi symbolizes the inevitability of death and also the hope of an afterlife. Number 3. Maman Brigitte. Maman Brigitte is the spirit of the cemeteries, protector of the tombs and guide of the souls who have passed to the other side. She is known for her fierce, outspoken, and passionate nature. She is a light-skinned woman with a vivid dress, accompanied by a hat and an alcoholic beverage in hand. It is not uncommon to see her with symbols associated with the dead and cemeteries. The cemetery is her domain, especially the oldest grave. She is offered strong drinks, especially hot rum with 21 peppers. Black roosters are also sacrificed in her honor. Maman Brigitte is known for her uninhibited nature, sharp tongue, and boundless passion. She is fair but direct, and is not afraid to speak her mind or protect what she considers hers. Together with her husband, Baron Samedi, she reigns over the spirits of the dead in voodoo. Number 4. Ogun. This spirit, venerated in voodoo as well as in other Afro-Caribbean and African religions, is the archetype of the warrior and the blacksmith, forging paths and defending his own with bravery. Ogun is the spirit of war, iron, politics, and technology. He is also seen as a leader and strategist, being invoked both for victory in battle and for conflict resolution. He is often depicted as a muscular warrior clad in armor and wielding a machete or sword. Iron and fire are central elements in his symbolism. The machete, anvil, and iron are emblematic for Ogun. The offerings he cherishes include rum, spicy foods, and objects made of metal, especially iron. Ogun is known for his bravery, fiery temperament, and strong sense of justice. He is protective by nature but can also be aggressive and combative when provoked. Ogun introduced the art of blacksmithing to mankind, giving people the ability to use iron to create tools and weapons. Before continuing, remember that this video has come out thanks to your comments. If you want a part 2 or a specific video talking about Santeria, Brazilian Macumba, or beliefs of this type, write me in the comments. If this video reaches 500 comments, I will take the video out. Number 5. Damballa. As one of the most ancient and primordial spirits, Damballa is the spirit of creation, life, and serenity. It represents the connection between heaven and earth and is considered one of the first and most important spirits or Loa in voodoo cosmogony. It is a large snake, associated with the figure of the rainbow. Its undulating movements symbolize the cycles of life, creation, and renewal. The white egg is a sacred symbol for Damballa, representing purity and the promise of life. Offerings to it are usually clear and pure, such as clear water, milk, or white foods like rice. Unlike other more temperamental spirits, Damballa is known to be peaceful, wise, and protective. He is the embodiment of serenity and primordial peace. His companion and counterpart is Aida Wedo, the rainbow serpent, who together with Damballa creates the balance of the universe. Although in some voodoo societies, she is his sister, and in others, Damballa himself in a different way. Damballa created the world, forming the rivers, mountains, and other features of the earth with his serpentine movements. He was also the one who brought water and fire to mankind. Number 6. Aida Wedo. Aida Wedo is the spirit of rainbows and fertility. She is the embodiment of maternal love, the cycle of life and perpetual renewal. She is a rainbow serpent winding through the sky, or sometimes as a beautiful woman adorned with bright colors. The rainbow is its main symbol, and it is offered brightly colored objects or food. Water, especially fresh water, is sacred to her, as are white offerings, symbolizing purity. Aida Wedo is known for her kind, loving, and protective character. She enraptures with her serenity and peace, and cares deeply for all living beings. It is said that Aida Wedo and Damballa work together in harmony to maintain the balance of the world. When it rains and a rainbow appears in the sky, it is believed to be Aida Wedo uniting with Damballa, recalling the union between heaven and earth. Number 7. Simbi. The Simbi are a group of spirits associated with fresh water, particularly rivers and springs. They are also masters of magic, sorcery, and occult secrets. They are represented near water or as semi-aquatic beings. On some occasions, they may appear as serpents, reflecting their elusive and changeable nature. Water-related items, such as chalices, shells, and river stones, are commonly associated with the Simbi. Offerings are made to them of things reminiscent of their domain, such as clear water, magical herbs, and spirits. They're known for their cunning and skill in magic, and are also spirits of word and covenant, mediators between the known and the unknown, and, therefore, can be beneficial or very difficult to deal with. Number 8. Marinette. Marinette is a spirit associated with death, freedom, and fierce resistance, known for her wild and fearsome character. She is closely linked with the darkest and most powerful aspects of voodoo. She is depicted as a skeletal figure, sometimes with the features of wild animals such as the leopard or owl, animals that embody her feral and nocturnal nature. Sacrifices to Marinette are often intense, given her affinity with death. Black roosters, chili peppers, and rum are typical of her rituals. It is essential to approach her with deep respect and caution. She is considered a protector of the oppressed and a champion of freedom, but she is also feared for her anger. Number 9. Erzuli Freda is the spirit of love, beauty, jewelry, luxury, and passion. She embodies the romantic ideal and is invoked for matters of the heart and love desires. She represents the most intense emotions, and her essence is as complex as the human heart itself. A woman of dazzling beauty, visualized with tears in her eyes due to the countless love disappointments she has suffered. She is known for being dressed in fine clothes, multiple jewels, and always surrounded by hearts and mirrors. She is offered high-quality perfumes, sparkling jewelry, pink and white sweets, and pink champagne. Roses, especially pink roses, are also closely associated with her. Erzuli Freda is known to be emotional and volatile, as passionate in her happiness as in her pain. She is unique in her mastery over love and passion. It is said that no man can completely satisfy her because of her insatiable desires. Her tears are a reminder of the pains and pleasures of love, as ephemeral and changeable as the wind itself. Number 10. Agwe. Agwe is the spirit of the sea, patron of fishermen, sailors, and all those who depend on the ocean for their livelihood. He is seen as a protector, but also as a spirit who knows the secrets and treasures of the deep blue. He is depicted as a handsome man dressed in a naval uniform, adorned with medals and decorations. He may appear together with sea creatures or ships. Sea-related items, such as miniature ships, shells, and nets, are symbols linked to Agwe. Offerings of champagne, rum, and seafood are made to him, especially during ceremonies in which they are thrown into the ocean as tribute. Stories are told of lost sailors who were saved by Agwe, or of treasures discovered at the bottom of the sea thanks to her blessing. It is a generous spirit, but it also demands respect for its dominion.